And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We apologize for the delay, but of course we had to get the players sorted, get all the vetoes through, and now the lobby has been made. We are getting into game number 1 of our very first qualifying match. This is the best of 5, and the winner makes it into the closed qualifier. The loser will have to try again tomorrow, as this is the first of 2 open qualifiers. So there is another chance, there is another way in for these players, but you know, we want to go in sooner rather than later. Also, bearing in mind, predictions are open. Predictions are open in the chat. Place your bets on who you think is going to be the first to qualify for the ESL Winter 2023 Asia Closed Qualifier. So I had to think. ESL Masters Winter Asia Closed Qualifier. Who makes it in first? It is up to you to decide. Predictions open. Letting you know in the chat. And we are here, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura. We have the Australian Protoss player. It is Pezz. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Filipino Zerg player, the pink Zerg. It is EnDerr. Vamonos, papi, vamonos. As we have a very interesting opener already. We're gonna be going for a gas first. Gas pull into hatchery here, so a very aggressive opener out of EnDerr. With this, he can rush into Ling speed. He can even go into a roach rush as well. And Pezz needs to get a read on this. Pezz, he comes in with a probe scout. He did delay the expansion, but little does he know, now he knows that there's a reason for that, as the gas is already taken, the spawning pool's already on the way, and Pezz will have to take a more defensive position back at home. Here we go. So EnDerr already going to be kicking things off with an aggressive opener. We are on Golden Aura. We have said it before, but on Golden Aura, on this map specifically, the rush distance is quite short, so you can be very aggressive on this map, and the map will help you in doing so. As the spawning pool is done, Queen should be on the way. We are still making drones. We did not actually bank up lava here for Lings. So despite the opener, Pezz, or EnDerr at least, is going to be going for a more mellow kind of reaction here for the time being. He's pulling out of gas, so he rushes into Ling speed, but he pulls out of gas, which means this won't be a roach rush, which means this also won't lead into a Bane Bust either. Just fast Ling speed. And also, of course, hoping to force an overreaction out of Pezz, but Pezz, he doesn't make a Zealot. He waits for the Cybercore to finish before getting into his Adept. And yeah, Pezz, he like calls EnDerr's bluff, essentially. Calls his bluff and is going to be playing standard. Meanwhile, EnDerr saw that. And EnDerr sees this with the Overlord. He knows that there was no Zealot. He can see the underreaction, so we pull back in. We pull back into gas, and again, you don't mind this much gas this early on without good reason, but we pull back out. So I'm getting mixed signals, Papi. We're pulling out, we're pulling back in, you know, do we want to commit, do we not, you know, what kind of relationship do we have right now, EnDerr? That's what I want to know. As we do have a couple of Lings on the way, but we're still droning, so looks like for the most part, EnDerr is going to be focusing on his economy. And we're just changing his minds, shifting gears over time. It is going to be a Stargate opener out of Pezz, fully walling off now at the natural. And EnDerr does have a couple of Lings here for map control. He's going to be looking to deny the third base, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Again, EnDerr just focusing on droning, making sure he doesn't get supply blocked. He goes in with the Overlord. He does confirm the Stargate. He also confirms the Oracle first. He is aware of what is going on. As the Overlord is hunted down. Thankfully, EnDerr was making an abundance of Overlords, so he doesn't get supply blocked. He's going to be just making sure he catches any kind of third base that is taken. He's just checking, scouting, patrolling with his Lings. And he does get eyes on the would-be third here over at the linear location. The Lings immediately do collapse on that probe, but the Oracle keeps it alive. Good control here. Good babysitting of this probe from Pezz, as he does keep it alive and he does secure his third base location. Very nicely done. Behind this, EnDerr just going to be droning, saturating his bases, getting his third, making more Queens, pulling back into gas again. So, as you can see here, EnDerr, he has 200 gas. Because he's been, again, a little bit he's been a little bit for and against it, and he's been changing his mind here and there. We did have an abundance of gas, which is a little bit wasteful, but here we see he's going straight into that lair. Very fast lair here out of EnDerr. Now, this is for a reason. I wonder what that reason is going to be. Will we take more gases? Are we rushing into Hydras, or are we going to be going into something like a Nidus Worm instead? We do have additional queens on the way. A decent amount, actually. But we are droning. So the likelihood of this being an all-in isn't really there. This could just be for a bit of a later Overseer scout. Yeah, the Overlord is coming in. Ooh, and Adepts are on the way behind this. We do have a Twilight Council, no Forge. It is going to be Glaive Adepts out of Pezz. And we need a Roach Warren. We have hit the 5-minute mark. 5 minutes is usually the timing where you go for a safety Roach Warren, and we don't have one. The Oracles, they dip in, they get a couple of drones. We still don't have any other form of tech, no additional gases, just fully saturated here on 3 bases. Finally, additional gases are being taken, and it is Hydras. And now I'm concerned. I'm concerned for EnDerr. So he is going Ling Hydra. Now we know why we rushed into this lair, and why now we know why that we're now getting into gases. The problem is that Glaive Adepts do well against all things light. You know, the light category of armor. They do well against Lings and Hydras, which means these Glaive Adepts could catch EnDerr completely off guard, and they could kill him. And here we go. The Adepts, they're rushing across the map. The Oracles as well. There is no Scout. Finally, the Overseer goes in, and this is a big tell. There is no Forge. The Forge is late. Alarm bells should be flaring. Hydras are on the way, but it may just be too late at this point. Maybe too little too late. Looking at the unit side, we have 15 Lings, we have 5 Queens. The Adepts, they push on forward. And they're going to be able to take down a Queen. They commit to the Shade as well. The Lings are getting annihilated. The Lings, they melt, and soon so will the drones. Oh, the Hydras, they get caught out. They also just instantly evaporate. And the Adepts are going to be threatening a Shade elsewhere, actually. We don't head towards the main. Now we are. Here we go. The Adepts, they shade towards that main base. Stasis Trap went off in the main as well. 23 workers go down. Ay, ay, ay. Not like this. 29 even. 29 drones. We do end up shading into the natural base, and it looks like this has caught EnDerr completely off guard. It is far too much. Far too much damage here. And GG will get called. Pezz takes game number 1. GG. A solid game 1 there out of Pezz. Again, he had blindly gone into this. He didn't know that, of course, we had a fast lair and that we were delaying tech. He didn't know that EnDerr was skipping roaches. It just happened to work out that way. And EnDerr, it was unfortunate that he wasn't able to get a full read on what was happening. And he took a bit of a gamble. Took a risk. Taking straight into Hydras. That is exactly what Glaive Adepts are ideal against. And just like that, GG. GG, well played. So we are getting into this. Getting ready for game number 2. But again, basically, the build that EnDerr had gone for, it has risen in popularity recently. It has risen in popularity. Basically, it's to rush into a fast lair to get into Ling Hydra. And we have seen a lot of successful all-ins with Ling Hydra, especially with the recent change, the recent patch, to end up making the upgrades a little bit cheaper for Hydras as well. So that is something that, that EnDerr was trying to take advantage of. But it is just really unfortunate that he just happened to be going up against Glaive Adepts of all things. Pezz hard countering EnDerr there. In the end. And with that, Pezz will take a lead in the series. In this best of 5. Drones taste best when melted, not roasted. It's all smooch. It is all smooch. here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Solaris, we have the Filipino Zerg player, the Pink Zerg, representing Clan LFTT, looking for team. He is looking for a team down in this series, but it's a best of 5. Plenty of games are ahead of us. It is EnDerr. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Australian Protoss player, the purple Protoss. It is Pezz, leading the series 1-0. All right. Now, when it comes to the build of choice, when it comes to Pezz, I don't expect to see that again. Going for a Stargate opener into Glaive Adepts is something you do once in a series, and it typically isn't something that you rely upon. So I don't expect to see that again from our Australian Protoss. Likewise, we'll see if EnDerr switches gears as well, because rushing into Hydras can be, of course, a risky thing to do, as we saw, and it is something that you can rely on for consistent. You can rely on consistently. As you can see, there are some faults to it. There are things that can be abused. As this time, once again, EnDerr delaying his expansion, going for a gas pool opener. Really interesting here. So I'm curious if this is just EnDerr's way of opening up in this matchup to rush into gas and rush into a faster spawning pool. Miyamika does this. Miyamika, he goes pool first every single game against Protoss just to make sure he hard counters like a cannon rush or any kind of cheese and a way to gain momentum early on. So yeah, really interesting play here out of EnDerr. So because of his opener, he's rushing into really fast link speed and he pulls back into gas once again. Okay. So we saw that last game again, EnDerr, he was a little bit conflicted. He was of two minds. He was pulling out, then pulling back in and pulling back out again. This time I do think that it is more, there's more meaning behind it. And there it is, a Bane bust. EnDerr is going all in. It is going to be a Bane bust out of our Zerg player. Pezz, can he prepare back at home? Already a full wall off. Throwing down that gateway, getting the Adept up as well. This probe coming in for another scout. Pezz, he's obviously aware of the late expansion, but it was a late expansion in game 1. That's the thing. That's what I love about what EnDerr's doing. He's playing with the series. He opened up gas first in game 1 and he played macro. So he's trying to kind of incept Pezz a little bit and try to catch him off guard. Pezz wasn't able to go in for a secondary scout. He doesn't know what's coming his way. He doesn't know that he's about to be busted. Lings are just rallying across the map. Pezz going for a Twilight Council opener, going to be going for what looks to be potentially Glaive Adepts or DTs. But he is not ready for this. The Banelings, they're on the way. 5 Banelings, Lings as well. EnDerr, he's on 15 workers. Again, completely all in. And Pezz is going to have very little time to react. There's no warp gate. I think this is just game. If this pylon goes down, there is nothing that Pezz can do. And there we go. The Lings, they do flood on in and they get on top of the Adept. The warp gate is on the way, but if the pylon is the only thing keeping this going, the pylon is under threat. We're trying to chrono our warp gates. We need it. We need that warp gate and it will not complete. GG gets called. EnDerr ties up the series 1-1. GG, well played. This time it was Pezz, caught with his pants down completely. Again, did not have any way to keep up with his opponent. Wasn't able to scout, wasn't able to confirm what was happening. Was not able to get eyes on EnDerr. And just like that, we're tied up. Just like that, we are tied up 1-1. And we're getting into our next game. We are getting into game number 3. Let us go. And game 3 is going to be on Oceanborn. I should actually write these down. Oceanborn. Alkioni and Sight Delta at the very end. Alright, good to know, good to know. So we're getting into game 3. So far we are tied up 1-1 in this qualifying match. We still have plenty of games ahead of us, but this will determine who takes the lead in the series, who is one step closer from qualifying here to make it into the closed qualifiers of ESL Masters Winter, the Asia region. Here we go, and spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Filipino Zerg player. Tying up the series 1-1 in that last game, it is EnDerr. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Australian Protoss, the purple Protoss. It is Pezz. Struggling in that last game again. Pezz unfortunately was unable to get a read and unable to scout his opponent. He was in the dark as to what EnDerr was up to. Again, obviously he saw the gas pool opener of his opponent. He saw that it was a late hatchery, but he wasn't able to confirm whether or not his opponent was all in. And again, because of how game 1 played out, it was the same opener. Game 1, it was also gas pool hatch. And in game 1, EnDerr macroed. So Pezz, he was just being fed false information. He was kind of being lured into a false sense of security, and just like that, he was caught with his pants down completely. And now we are here in game 3. And this time, hatch first. This was a 15 hatch, by the way. 15 hatch opener out of EnDerr, 15-15 into a gas geyser. Really fast gas, actually. Interesting. You can see we don't even have full saturation in this mineral line. So really bold move out of EnDerr. I don't know how I feel about this. Essentially what happened, it was a 15 hatch into a 15 spawning pool into, I think that was a 15 or 16 gas geyser, and because we prioritize gas mining, this means that EnDerr, he makes up for what should have been late link speed. Like, this opener from EnDerr typically leads into late link speed, but because he prioritized gas, he makes up for that. But that also means that the mineral income for EnDerr is that much weaker and that much lower. So EnDerr just wants to make sure he's safe, and there it is, link speed is on the way. And he does pull out of gas. So again, with a 15 hatchery opener, it also means that EnDerr, he can expand on location. It means that Pezz won't be able to force the unnatural natural, and EnDerr, he won't have an awkward time defending. Back at home, Stargate opener out of Pezz. Very meta, very by the book. And so far, this is the most standard opener we've had in this entire series. In this entire best of 5, this is looking the most normal. How dare they? What's going on? We do have 8 links in production. This should be just for map control, should be just to threaten this base and even shut down the adepts. Speaking of, Ling slips into the main and EnDerr gets a scout of the tech. He does see the Stargate. So EnDerr is fully aware of what's going on. And the Lings are moving out as well. Again, this isn't overly aggressive out of EnDerr. This is just to maintain control of the map itself. Get eyes on the third and delay the third if possible. As it is going to be that Oracle first. Back at home, EnDerr, he's droning. He's taking his third base. He hasn't pulled back into gas. Very important to take note of that. And yeah, we are just going to be chilling here. The first Oracle gets across the map to get some damage done, to scout his opponent, of course, get eyes on the gases, get eyes on any kind of weird lair timing. The second Oracle comes out in time to protect the third base. It is rallied here towards the third base location, which means even though there are Lings here to delay the third, the Oracle should shoo them away. Speaking of, first Oracle gets across the map, doesn't get anything done, but does confirm the lack of gases, lack of lair, does confirm as well the saturation that's slowly occurring at the third. So everything is looking as it should. Safety Baneliness is thrown down at 4:20, at around 4 minutes 20. Again, not insanely early here out of EnDerr, just safe. This tells us as well that EnDerr doesn't want to go roaches. He doesn't want to go roaches. This feels to me like he wants to go Ling Bane into Hydra. Oh my god! As those oracles, they take a lot of hits. They take a lot of hits, Papi. But they do manage to escape getting 4 worker kills. Behind this, yo, we got a lot of Lings on the way. We are cutting... No, okay, we're not cutting workers. We may have a Bailey nest, but we shouldn't be busting. This is enough to threaten the third. But I don't know if EnDerr is going to be too committed to this. We'll see if he makes more Lings. Yeah, he's droning. He's droning behind this. Ideally, he wants to try to catch these adepts if possible. So do get a revelation on the Lings. Behind this, we have a Twilight Council. We have +1 on the way. This should be for charge. Speaking of, charge is late. I think this is a mistake, an oversight by Pezz. Ay, ay, ay. Meanwhile, a pretty standard timing here with that lair, 5 minutes. Spawning, sorry, Evo Chamber on the way. Gases, again, this should be for a Hydra Den for Ling Bane Hydra. But we still, where's that charge? This is meant to be charged on Archon. The High Templar on the way for the Archons. There it is, charge just now begins, but this is late. It was not meant to be this late as well. Because of that, Pezz, he's going to miss his timing. Ideally, charge and +1 finish at the same time. Ideally, they finish at the same time. You push out with your Archons and you can do a devastating amount of damage. But alas, Pezz won't really have that. He has to wait a little bit longer for this to kick in. Meanwhile, there's that Hydra Den, as we mentioned earlier. Lings are going to threaten these bases. The army does move out. Charge still on the way. Again, it should have been done by now. And we are pushing out. But there are Banelings ready. Queens. Hydra's in production. EnDerr was cutting it close, but I believe his Hydra should pop in time. As the Lings are going down. Pezz, he may still be able to pull this off. Banelings, they will crash into some of the Zealots, but not all of them. And here we go. Pezz is looking to snowball out of control. EnDerr not quite able to get into the Hydras in time. Was maybe just a little bit too greedy here. Just wasn't able to muster up an army. The drones are going down. And again, even though Pezz did hit a little bit late, he still denies mining, but he doesn't have enough to break EnDerr. Whew. That was a close hold. that was very close. EnDerr, he lost 4 workers, only 4 drones. He maintains his economy. He gets his 4th base. But the other Banelings, are they going to finish in time? Oh, we can't waste the Banelings' decent connections. Yeah, the Zealots are going down. The Archons are that much more exposed. 2 Zealots do make it into the mineral line. And Pezz, once again, barely breaks through. Couple more Hydras, a couple more Lings, and maybe would have seen a cleaner defense here, but 9 drones go down. And just like that, Pezz, he may not have killed EnDerr, but he does take an economic lead. We have a 4th on the way. Storm as well. Storm to help support the army, +2. And EnDerr is on the back foot. Now, from here, there are different ways, different routes to take. We can see EnDerr, he's just saturating his bases. He's just trying to build himself back up. I would love to see additional tech. I'm leaning towards a lurker den. We rush into a lurker den, which means even though EnDerr doesn't have a lot to work with, he can morph in like maybe 5 lurkers by the time the second push arrives, and we can hold, we can defend. And there it is! Lurker den. A little bit later than we would have liked, but it's on the way nonetheless. And this is a way to stabilize. But there's a window. Obviously, there's a window here. Before we get any lurkers, Pezz can still kill EnDerr. If Pezz, if he builds up an army, if he hits, like Storm is done, by the way. Like all these High Templar, they're gonna have 1 Storm each. Pezz, he can move out and he could kill. But the longer he waits, the closer EnDerr gets to lurkers. Now, lurkers, they aren't a sure thing. They're just, you know, a way to stabilize. It still comes down to the execution. It comes down to how much breathing room Pezz gives him, because Pezz, he's moving out. He is moving out, and the Lurker Den is still not done. Zealots are coming in from the left-hand side. They're gonna distract some of these Hydras. And Pezz is pushing through the middle. The Lurker Den finishes, but we don't have the room. We don't have the time to build them. And without Lurkers, we can see the Hydras. They can crumble before these High Templar. The Storms connect. The Zealots, they bust into that natural base. More Storms are being thrown down, and there's just too much Protoss. Oh, the Drones, the Mineral Lion. Pezz will take game number 3, taking a lead in this series. GG. GG, well played. And again, even if we did have a slightly earlier Lurker Den, there's no guarantee that that EnDerr would have survived that, just because Pezz had so much momentum already going his way. It was already going to be an uphill battle, and alas, just like that, Pezz, he's 1 game away from making it into the closed qualifiers. One game away. Now, earlier when it came to Pezz's Chargel Archon push, again, he may not have killed his opponent, but he did cripple. Did cripple his opponent. And did end up snowballing out of control there just because of how many drones had gone down. Again, it was a tight hold from EnDerr, and it barely was not good enough. Barely was not good enough as we are getting ready here for our next game. Pezz, he only needs one more. One more to advance on here to qualify for the closed qualifiers. Can he do it? Can he pull it off? Meanwhile, EnDerr, he has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. Again, Pezz, he is no easy opponent. Oh boy. Personally, as a caster, I would love to see a game 5. I would love this to go the distance, to go all the way to that final game. But we'll see. Here we go. We are getting into game number 4, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alcyone, we have the Filipino Zerg player, the best player in all the Philippines. Down in this series, he needs to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is EnDerr. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Australian Protoss player. 1 game away from being the first player to qualify in the very first Open Qualifier of the Asia region. It is Pezz. And that is a pool first. Okay, it's a pool gas opener here from EnDerr. Once again, we've been seeing these really aggressive openers out of him, and sometimes they lead to all in, sometimes they don't. They keep Pezz guessing. They keep the Protoss in the dark. And of course, Pezz is going to confirm once again the delayed expansion and the faster gas and the faster spawning pool. So Pezz, now he knows that he's on notice. Now, he's already died to a Bane Bust once this series, so I'm sure Pezz is going to be a little bit more adamant when it comes to scouting and figuring out, you know, where our gas is being spent and how committed we are. Interesting. EnDerr pulls out a gas completely at 50? At 48? I think this is just for show. I think this is just for the probe. And I'm pretty sure once the probe leaves, we pull back in, right? Yeah. Oh, but the probe comes back. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, we are going to slowly saturate the gas geyser instead. Really quirky opener here out of EnDerr. Yeah, only keeping 1 in. And we're going for a faster third. Okay. Never let them know your next move. So EnDerr, he goes for a fast gas opener. He pulls out of gas completely and instead shifts gears and goes for a fast third. All right. Okay, EnDerr, you have my attention, Papi. You have my attention. Interesting. So the downside to this is that he delays his second queen. He delays his second and third queen by quite some time to expand and take a really fast third base, but this will give in the long run, you know, more lava and better production and some better economy available as well for EnDerr. Meanwhile, Twilight Council opener out of Pezz. Oh boy, this could be for Glaive Adepts, this could be for a Dark Shrine. There are some different possibilities here as the Overlord comes in for a scout, and EnDerr, he will see the tech, he will confirm the Twilight Council. Now, upon seeing this Twilight Council opener, we should be seeing an earlier Roach Warren. I'm talking like around 4 minutes. Like 3:40 to 4 minutes is when we should be seeing a Roach Warren here from EnDerr. And he's aware that a ground-based army is going to be coming out, and it is going to be Glaives. Interesting. We have not pulled out of gas. Pezz, Papi. We have 2 gates on the way here on the low ground. When it comes to the main base, we're throwing down 2 more gates, but I wouldn't be surprised if we throw down additional gateways. We do pull out though. Okay, so 4 gate Glaive Adepts. We have 2 and 2 in the main. That is only enough gas to facilitate for 4 gate production. So we've seen this before. It's going to be 4 gates into a third base, into an expansion for Pezz. This opener is designed to deal damage, yes. Oh my god. As my mistake. We pull back in, Papi. We pull back into gas. We throw down another 2 gateways. It's going to be 6 gate Glaive Adepts. We're all in. Oh my god. We are going all in instead. Yeah, we're pulling back into gas. Pezz himself, he's also mixing it up. We'll see if EnDerr can keep up. For now, we have the Roach Warren done. Roaches are on the way. Oh, EnDerr, he did rush into lair. He rushed into that lair here at the natural. Oh, he skipped. Oh, no. He skipped link speed. I was wondering, like, how could he afford a lair this early on with roaches? And it's because he skipped link speed, going straight into roach production instead. I'm concerned. This means that EnDerr is going to have a hard time keeping up with the army. It means that he won't have links to chase the shades. Ay, ay, ay. And here we go. A mass amount of adepts are arriving. Now, EnDerr, if he survives, then he will be able to counterattack. He's going to have a lot of roaches with speed to counterattack and push across the map. But that's a big if. That is if he survives. The adepts, they commit to the shade. They clean up all the links in the main base. They go straight for the mineral line. Drones are pulled away. Good Evo block as well. Is going to delay these adepts. As they shade into the natural, and so far 5-6 workers go down. This is still acceptable losses, but we have more adepts in the main. They are met by those roaches, and EnDerr, he is not mining. So there we go. He does resaturate his natural. Nothing going on here at the third, nothing in the main. And Pezz should be racing back home. Now, he is transitioning. We have a bay. This should be for disruptors. We need disruptors to survive the counterattack. Because, again, EnDerr, he's building up a very large roach army. But the Prism still poses a threat. And Pezz is keeping these roaches pinned back at home, while Pezz gets into War Prism speed and disruptors. Third base soon to be on the way. EnDerr has to make a choice. Does he counterattack, or does he just stay back at home and resaturate his bases? And I think he just has to defend. Like, this Prism, it's just too much of a thorn in his side. He can't move out, and Pezz is taking a worker lead. Oh, the creep! The Overlord dropping creep here at the third base, delaying the third base of Pezz at both locations. This is something you can do with a fast lair. True. I mean, I say fast lair. We're at the 7-minute mark at this point. And here we go. Prism is now moving out. This third base is looking very secure for Pezz. And now he's looking to get some drop harass across the map. As rolling on in. Nervous will be going off the up. The drones, the middle line. 4 workers go down. Could have been worse. That is 4 workers for free. 4 workers for shield damage. EnDerr, he is still struggling to recover economically. Meanwhile, Pezz, he's chilling back at home. We're working towards Colossus, +1, Blink. Pezz getting everything he needs for the mid-game. And EnDerr still struggling to keep up. Oh, he wants the Ravagers. Ooh, he gets both. A very good pick-off here for Pezz. EnDerr still building up his forces. He's still droning as well. It looks like he wants to drone up to around 60. No 4th hatchery. But here we go. Here comes Pezz with his own main army. Up! Oh god. Massive Novas go off. Big connections. Already a good start for Pezz, and he's about to snowball out of control. We cannot afford to take more losses like that. As Pezz is reinforcing. Pushing on forward. +1 and Blink about to kick in a couple of seconds. We are 10 seconds away. Oof. Oh, we do actually connect with those Biles. The Biles, they do connect. We have more Roaches on the way. +1 range about to kick in for EnDerr as well. If we are able to avoid these Purification Novas, then maybe we can pull off a defense. It's close, though. It is close. Dep's going to be threatening a shade into that natural. We do blink on forward. We're trying to get on top of the Ravagers. The Biles will connect. Nova will not. The boys, they have to be pulled in. The Nova, oh god! Takes down a Ravager. Takes down some Roaches. EnDerr is forcing this back. But it's not cheap. It is costing him his entire mineral line. And we have more Stalkers to reinforce. And Pezz is getting out of hand. He's getting out of control. The Novas have just been too good. And yeah, we can just blink on top of the army. And it looks like Pezz, the Australian... There are barely any Aussies in the qualifier, by the way. Barely any of them. But Pezz, he's going to make his way through. GG gets called. Pezz qualifies for the ESL Masters Winter Asia Closed Qualifier. GG. GG, well played. Pezz makes his way through. He takes down EnDerr 3-1. And he qualifies. Congratulations. Congratulations, Pezz. My condolences to EnDerr. Again, I wish they could both make it through. I want them both to advance on here into some later rounds, but alas, they could only ever be one. And here, today, in Qualifier 1, it is going to be Pezz. Pezz for Prez, Bobby. Let's go. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Pezz. My condolences to EnDerr. Again, I got a lot of love for him. You know, he's near and dear to my heart, and I hope to see EnDerr tomorrow. Hope to see him tomorrow. It is single elimination. Very, very cutthroat. Ooh. A very brutal qualifier here, and I hope to see EnDerr tomorrow in qualifier number 2. And it looks like Pezz is not the first to make it, actually. Jim Jaime. Jim, at one point back many years ago, he was the best player in China, and here he comes back. He takes down Lemon 3-2, and Jim also qualifies for the closed qualifiers. Congratulations.